Hi guys, we are going to be working with a poem today. We've done lots of different genres so far, and we've talked about the different elements of a tall tale in last week's lessons. And now we're going to move on to a poem. And what I want us thinking about is specifically the mood and the tone of this story. When we talk about the mood, that's kind of like the feeling as we hear the words, as we see a picture in our head. Are we feeling happy? Are we feeling sad? Are we worried? Is it suspenseful? What kind of feeling does it create? That's the mood of a poem. And the other thing I want us to think about is the tone. So you can tell by like the tone of voice, maybe you've heard that before, whether a person is happy or sad. So if you have a nice tone to your voice, it might be friendly or happy. If someone has a stern voice, they're saying like, go do your work right now. That's a different kind of mood. So the tone also gives you a feeling inside as well. So we're thinking about mood and we're thinking about tone. And I also want to add one more thing in there because we're talking about poetry. And so poetry does a really good job of creating a picture in your head. Whether it's a real picture or whether they're comparing things to a picture, there's a lot of chance for there to be plays on words. So I want you thinking about colors too. So I'm going to read you a poem today, and I want you to just listen to it. You can close your eyes and listen if that helps, and you can even re-listen to it, replay this video if you need to think about how does it make you feel inside, what is the tone, is it like a happy tone, is it serious, is it sad, is it hopeful, is it loving, is it scary, all those kinds of feeling words. And I want you to think too about colors. What kind of color comes to mind when you hear this poem? And the poem I'm sharing with you today is called The Wreck of the Edmund Fitgerald, and it's by Gordon Lightfoot. Here we go. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down. On the big lake they call Gitche Gummy. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. With a load of iron ore 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitgerald weighed empty, that good ship and crew was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early. The ship was the pride of the American side coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. As the big freighters go, it was bigger than most, with a crew and a good captain well seasoned, concluding some terms with a couple steel firms when they left fully loaded for Cleveland. And later that night when the ship's bell rang, could it be the north wind they've been feeling? The wind in the wires made a tattletale sound, and a wave broke over the railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealin'. The dawn came late, and the breakfast had to wait, when the gales of November came slashing. When afternoon rain, it was freezin' rain in the face of a hurricane west wind. When supper time came, the old cook came on deck, sayin', "Fellas, it's too rough to feed ya." At 7 p.m., a main hatchway caved in. He said, "Fellas, it's been good to know ya." The captain wired in he had water comin' in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night, when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmund Fitgerald. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they'd have made Whitefish Bay if they'd put 15 more miles behind her. They might have split up, or they might have capsized. They may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains is the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters. Lake Huron rolls, Superior sings in the rooms of her ice-water mansion. Old Michigan steams like a young man's dreams. The islands and bays are for sportsmen. And farther below, Lake Ontario takes in what Lake Erie can send her, and the iron boats go, as all mariners know, with the gales of November remembered. In a musty old hall in Detroit they prayed, in the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral. The church bell chimed till it rang 29 times, for each man on the Edmund Fitgerald. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down, of the big lake they call Gitche Gummy. Superior, they said, never gives up her dead when the gales of November come early. So if you would like, stop in the video and play it again. If you want to think about those words a little more, think about what's happening on the boat. Think about what's happening to the sailors. Think about why it's happening to the boat and to the sailors. And then think to yourself, what kind of mood was it? How did you feel? What emotions came across? So your job, after you've done that, you can listen to it again. Your job is, I want you to get a big white piece of paper. And I want you to draw a picture of what you think the scene was like on the Edmund Fitgerald. And in order to do that, I want you to think about the words, obviously, because they describe some things about the boat. But I also want you to think about what colors you should use. What colors would help us feel that mood when we look at your picture? Was it a happy poem? Was the story positive? Were there things that were sad, heartbreaking? What kinds of colors do you think you could use to show that? And while you are doing that, there is another link here of a musical version of this poem. And I'd like you to listen to that while you draw in color and be thinking about the mood and the tone of what it might have felt like to be a part of this story.